4 more of President Trump's cabinet nominees will appear for their confirmation hearings today. So Scott Bessent, Trump's pick for Treasury Secretary, will begin his hearing at 10:30. Interior Secretary nominee Doug Burgum, EPA Administrator nominee Lee Zeldin, and Housing and Urban Development Secretary nominee Scott Turner will begin the day with their hearings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Meanwhile, Pam Bondi isn't out of the woods quite yet. On day 2 of her hearing, we will hear from witnesses both for and against her nomination as Attorney General.
Are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical.
We're also worried about Liz Cheney, Senator.
The president has
You know
called
what we
for
should
this.
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my questions.
California right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87% higher than the national average.
Your job will be, I'm speaking, your job will be to protect voters. I hope you answer, Ms. Bondi.
Well, I'd
now,
like
when
to
we met
answer the
yesterday,
previous one, Senator.
When we met yesterday,
You pointed your finger at me and
you
said
did not
you were
seem
speaking.
to be familiar
Let me answer
with
my question.
the
I'm not going to be
citizenship
bullied by you,
clause, the
Senator
14th
Padilla.
Amendment.
If President-elect Trump asks, suggests, or hints that you as Attorney General should investigate one of his perceived political enemies, would you do so?
Senator Hirono, I wish you had met with me. Had you met with me, we could have discussed many things and gotten to know.
I am
You could
listening
have
to you
gotten to know
now.
me.
Could you respond to the question?
Yeah, you were the only one who refused to meet with me, Senator.
So the Senate will confirm at least a few of Trump's nominees within hours of his inauguration on Monday, but some could take several days, weeks, or even months to be confirmed. Maria?
All right, Brooke, thank you so much. We are looking at more today. Let's talk about this. What did you hear yesterday? Lee Carter, your reaction.
Well, you know, the so-called party of unity, you know, the Democrats who have said that they're really trying to reach out, that they're trying to be the party of all Americans, the way that they have behaved through these hearings has been unbelievable. It feels more like a trial than it does a hearing. It seems like a gotcha exercise. It doesn't seem like anybody's trying to get to the truth, and there's so much grandstanding. I'm so impressed with each of the cabinet nominees as they've been going through this. They've kept their calm. They've kept their poise. You can't imagine how hard it is to not even be able to get words out of your mouth without just losing your mind.
Right.
And the steady hand that Pam Bondi had yesterday, Pete Hegseth, others that we've watched go through this, Marco Rubio, what a star, absolutely so well prepared. It makes me more confident in these cabinet nominees, and I look forward to Monday and hoping that everybody does the right thing.
The Treasury Secretary nominee, Scott Bessent, will be up there today. I have his confirmation hearing statement, and he says, "My life has been the only in America story that I'm determined to preserve for future generations." He talks about how he was raised in a modest upbringing. He says, "I believe Trump has a generational opportunity to unleash a new economic golden age that will create more jobs." I wanted to bring this up because you know that Senator Elizabeth Warren is going to try to attack him on taxes and extending the tax.
Without a doubt. And of course, Biden in his farewell speech brought up, you know, the rich need to pay their fair share. Well, Earth to Biden, the top 50% pay 97.7% of all the income taxes out there. The bottom 50% pay 2.3%. But in regards to Scott Bessent, you know, one of the most important things I've heard from him is actually he really is focused on preserving the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. Yeah. And I know it seems like far stretched that it could ever lose that title, but Ray Dalio, he's done the studies, he's studied, you know, thousands of years of empires. Empires tend to last about 250 years on average. Then they battle high debt, high deficits, interest rates start to go up on them. There is a rising economic and military superpower that's an adversary, and then they lose reserve currency status. Everything is true about the United States right now, except for that reserve currency thing. That's typically the last thing, so we have to preserve that.
Nobody thought Rome would fail.
Right.
One of the items in Scott Bessent's opening statement, he says, if Congress fails to act, Americans will face the largest tax increase in history, a crushing $4 trillion tax hike. We must make the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and implement new growth policies and extend those. Erica, your reaction?
Well, I absolutely agree, and we need to do it quickly. That's one of the things that we know that Congress, a lot of the conversations around one bill, two bills, when does it get done, what are the deadlines, is to give some assurance back to the markets that these tax cuts are going to be extended. And I think the markets are building that in. Of course, a lot of the economy is depending on the extension of those tax cuts. We know that also the government brought in more revenue than they have ever brought in under those tax cuts. So Secretary Yellen's comments yesterday were absolutely ridiculous. And I think that's what we're seeing across the board with Democrats. They're freaking out, for lack of a better term. But Congress, I think, is very focused on extending the tax cuts and doing it quickly and giving that assurance to the American people.